All right, what up? Is Leonidas here in Copacabana, Rio de Janeiro, which is in English it would be Rio de Janeiro, but in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, you pronounce the beginning R's of any word as an H. I've been living here for the last 3 months, and it's been a pretty awesome experience. Okay, so these are going to be my recommendations, my experiences, and things that perhaps you want to check out. So why did I actually come to Rio de Janeiro? I've actually wanted to come to Brazil for a very long time, since playing some video game called Final Fantasy VII. They had a little world where the little people were basically living on a beach resort, and in the background was playing this music called Bossa Nova. Later on, I found out that Bossa Nova was actually from Brazil. It's this jazzy mix of it's like a jazz, but minus the heavy trebles of trumpets and whatever else that makes heavy trebles. And so I was supposed to come here in FIFA 2014. Unfortunately, my friend who was gonna come with me decided not to go, so instead I went traveling to Asia. Fast forward, finally came to Rio de Janeiro for Carnaval 2016, and immediately settled in to Rio de Janeiro. Particularly, Rio de Janeiro is it's not a very large state, but it is a big place. Where I am actually is in the southern region, which is near the world famous Copacabana and Ipanema. Okay, and I've been living here now for last 3 months. Been traveling around to 2 other cities, particularly Brasilia and São Paulo, which I'll talk about later. Things to know about Rio de Janeiro, okay? And I guess I should pretty much categorize these so I don't rant about any particular things. When I arrived here for Carnaval, okay? So initially came here for Carnaval. The first 10 days, everything was for rent. It was very expensive, so the best option was to get a hostel. Even a hostel was about $20 to $30 per night in a ridiculously awful hostel, but nonetheless you have to stay somewhere. And Carnaval itself was not what I expected. I was actually pretty disappointed with Carnaval compared to another festival I have in my home city, Toronto. Carnaval here in Rio de Janeiro was actually a city-wide party, so the entire city was flooded with about anywhere from 400 to 500,000 people from all over Brazil. And basically you would have all of the beaches, all of the streets completely packed with people, okay? And most of it just involved people standing around and drinking in large packed groups, okay? And all the streets were flooded with people. It was just insane. You could literally walk for 2-3 kilometers and it would just be people and more people. And they were wearing costumes. It's pretty much like a big Halloween party. With music intermixed here and there. There would be these things called blocos, which are basically block parties, street parties, and they would have music, these big trucks that would move through the streets, and you would follow along with them, and they would play the generic Brazilian songs. One of the most popular songs right now is called Baile de Favela, which is like dancing in the favela. A favela is a poor district of any particular city here in Brazil. And you dance around, and of course, once the truck was gone, it would just be drunk people, and more drunk people, which I found disappointing. Unlike what you see in the propaganda of Brazil, which is the crazy feather dresses, the flamenco dancing, the big floats, the big statues that are on the trucks and stuff, and people just dancing around and stuff. That is here in Rio de Janeiro, but it's actually in a stadium, and it's understandable it's in the stadium to prevent, because people say Brazil is a dangerous place. I'm sure it is a dangerous place. I haven't had any issues so far, but unfortunately it's very isolated. It's just in one particular spot where you have all this, and then the rest of the Carnaval was just drunk people in costumes, okay? Compared to the festival in Toronto, which is Salsa on St. Clair or even Pride Festival, where they shut down a one street, maybe 1 to 2 kilometers long, and then it just has music everywhere, people dancing everywhere, and just I think the main component that was missing for me during Carnival was the musical aspect of it. So not enough music was playing around. It was just small segments with a truck, and then you would pretty much be missing the music for the next 20, 30, maybe 1 hour between musical events. Okay, so after that, once Carnival was gone, the rent went normalized and I rented a place. Luckily, when I have a video before this where I negotiate the place where I typically get. It was from Airbnb. I told the landlady that I would rent the place for a month, maybe longer, as long as after 1 week, if I didn't like the place, it was fine for me to leave and go find another place. She accepted. Unfortunately, I ended up renting a place for 2 weeks on top of a nightclub. So after 2 weeks, I decided to change the place. Nothing like waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning to the sound of a nightclub literally underneath your floor. Okay, after that, I rented a place, which is the place I'm currently living at. Great place. It's literally just one street away from the beach. I am literally right now 2 minutes from my place, and you can see that I'm on the beach here. And since then, I've just been living here and exploring the different things you could do in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, Rio de Janeiro, southern region. Popular things to do here are go see Jesus, the Jesus statue up on the mountain. I'm not really sure if you can see him from where I am right now. But nonetheless, you can go see the Jesus statue, which is high up on one of the hills. There's lots of hills here. You can also go to Pão de Açúcar, which means sugar bread mountain. Okay, it's also another cool view. You could go up to Dois Irmãos, which is my profile photo on Facebook, which means the Two Brothers Hill. Okay, Dois Irmãos means two brothers, so it's a hill dedicated to two brothers, or because it looks like two brothers. Then you have, I also went to another location which is not in the city of Rio de Janeiro, but it's called Niterói, and you can also do hiking there. There's plenty of beaches here. Honestly, the best beach, the best location for living that I've determined is in Copacabana. Okay, and that's because everything is the location that I'm living next to. It has a supermarket next to it. It has restaurants next to it. It has bars, even a nightclub, like literally right next to my place. I have a metro very close to my place. Copacabana is pretty much like living in the downtown mixed in with a beach. Okay, you have everything you would need as a young adventurer, perhaps even if you're older too, along with the beach culture. Okay, that's amazing. Ipanema is nice. Everybody assumes that it's the place to be, but unfortunately, at a certain point, they don't have a metro system, and as you get deeper and deeper, you stray further away from restaurants, from the supermarket. You stray away from other basically commodities and necessities. Okay, so you don't have as much commodities in the area as you would like. So if you want to come to live in Rio de Janeiro, come to Copacabana. As far as expense, I'll be honest, in the first month, I spent anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500. This, of course, included my ticket here and the rent. The rent is not cheap, okay? Anywhere from $700 to $1,000 US, okay? Even with negotiation, okay, you can negotiate, and I recommend you do on Airbnb. Spam the landlords, and then basically figure out a price that you are willing to pay. Also check out the place too, and don't agree to more than a week if you plan to live here. And if you plan to live here for more than a week, then you can actually pay them by cash. Okay, that's what I did. I said, if I don't like the place after a certain period, I'll just leave. But if I like it, I'll pay you cash for the rest of the period, instead of paying through Airbnb, which takes a 12% commission on top of what you pay. And what else? Oh, the beach culture here. Basically, so let's get back to our 4 categories that I talked about in an even previous video back in Bangkok. 4 categories: health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Health, There's gyms everywhere here. Okay, their gym culture here is a huge thing. Fitness culture here is a huge thing. You'll see a lot of very, very fit people. Hopefully our camera does not overheat again. There's a lot of very fit people. It's known for being an attractive place. Okay, the fitness I consider like flat stomach, you know, shapely, curved, etc., etc. Good sized legs. There's a culture of that. Plus the tanned skin. Okay, that's a indicator of beauty in some countries. Okay, here in Rio de Janeiro, it's a common thing to see, but basically you'll see a lot of very fit people, also mixed in with a lot of unhealthy people, simply because of what businesses are selling us. You know, the milk, the crappy food, the crappy addictive food, and it's causing people to overeat. But on the other hand, you do have a very attractive culture here. Okay, I personally engage in mixed martial arts here. I tried to do the Krav Maga in Copacabana, but it was terrible. So I switched over to an MMA school. There's lots of MMA here. There's lots of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's built in because it's super popular here. Wealth, you are gonna need money here. As I said, I spent $2,000 to $3,000 in my first month. I'm not even sure how much I spent in my second or third yet, okay, because it's all mixed in together with my business. And well, finding a job here, it's not going to be so good. Fortunately for you, if you're a traveler, you're coming to Brazil, the real right now, which is the currency of Brazil, the real, but it's pronounced real, is very low. So everything is at a discount. Everything is at a very, very nice discount, which is fantastic. Especially for me, I make my money in US dollars, so everything is super, well, I mean, it's just normal actually. It's not super cheap, especially the rent, but everything else is generally very inexpensive. Taking the bus is $1, taking the metro is $1. You can get large drinks for $1, $2 beers, or if you like to drink, anywhere from $2 to $3 if you go to a nice fancy bar here in the area. And health, wealth, relationships, you can make lots of friends. The Brazilian people do speak English. Some of them do, some of them don't. They generally do learn it in school. They've taken a lot of courses. Unfortunately, for many of them, they haven't had the opportunity to practice it, so perhaps they can practice it with you. If you're learning Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, you're gonna have a hard, like myself, you might have a hard time understanding the Rio de Janeiro Portuguese, because there's a huge accent differential. It's like Texas English or Australian English versus New York English, or even New Zealand English, which I have a hard time understanding sometimes. There is an accent, there is a way that they speak is different, so you will have to basically relearn the whole language sometimes, because they pronounce, instead of, for example, vamos, which means let's go, they pronounce it vamos, or perhaps estamos, which is we are, they pronounce it estamos, which to a foreigner like myself or to other people, it's a different word altogether, because it's pronounced differently, right? Because if you pronounce whatever, it's going to be like learning a new language. You can make lots of friends here, there's no problem. Lots of little things you could do. You could go on these little exchanges to meet foreigners, etc., etc. You can meet Brazilians that speak English, they'll take you around. They're awesome. Brazilians are really friendly. It's a really cool place here. Health, wealth, relationships, happiness. Happiness, I love this place. I mean, great place to live. Probably my top 5. Thailand being up there, Toronto not being so much up there anymore, and Brazil definitely being up there. And yeah, if you do meditation, that's a great thing too. There's a small culture of meditation. Okay, so other things. Currently, Brazil is going through a presidential change. Brazil is going through a presidential change as of this moment. Because of the corruption, the real is very low. Some people are not happy, but generally if you don't talk about the politics, everything's fine. You don't really see it in the people themselves. They just kind of mention it here and there. Oh, the other two cities I visited, Sao Paulo and Brasilia. Okay, Sao Paulo is just a monster in the sense that it's just buildings, buildings, and more buildings. All right, and it's maybe an interesting place to visit for 4 or 5 days, but to live there is just, you don't have any hike. Maybe you do have hiking, but it's just a monster city. It's just literally buildings, sometimes with no particular, pretty much with no particular pattern. So if you actually look behind me, you can see that the buildings are arranged in a particular, in a form. There's some kind of form there. There's some kind of pattern there. In Sao Paulo, there's none of that, and it's a huge city. It's like 30 million people. It's just monstrous. I personally didn't like it, and I personally wouldn't want to live there. Brasilia, on the other hand, you need a car to get around. Okay, that's just how it is. It's very spaced out. It's a developed city. It's a developed city just in like the last 40-50 years. They built it out of the ground for the sake of the government to put it into the center of Brazil. And it's cool to see, but after you see the government structures, the government buildings, there's pretty much nothing else to do in Brasilia. You can drive out and go see the wilderness of Brazil. Brazil is a huge place. It'll take you several hours to reach anything once you're in the wilderness. Okay, and other places I want to check out. Want to check out also Recife, so which is in English it's Recife. All right, so our camera overheated there. Other place I want to check out is Recife, Belo Horizonte in the south, and Porto Alegre. Belo Horizonte not too far from here, about 17 hours drive from Rio De Janeiro, and Porto Alegre in the south, where apparently there's more of a Germanic mix, while in the north of Brazil there's more of a African indigenous mix. So check out the two contrasts, maybe even go to the Amazonas, which is, you know, the Amazon River. Finally, three interesting facts I'll tell you about before I close out this video. Number one, Copacabana. A lot of people don't know what it means. In fact, it's an indigenous word, pre-Columbus. Okay, so it's pre-Columbus arrival. It means Kutakuahana, which translates to the view of the lake. Okay, so people don't know that. Ipanema means bad water or stinky water. In this sense, it's from the indigenous as well, and it actually signifies that there were no fish. They couldn't get any fish in the water, so bad water. And finally, Gringo. So this seems to be like a omniscient or generalized term for any foreigner, particularly white foreigners. But Gringo indicates someone that is not from the particular country. It could also indicate a Mexican who is in Brazil. And the reason that it's called Gringo is because when the Americans arrived in Latin America, Central America, and Mexico, they brought green money. Okay, so when the people of those countries saw this money, they said, "Oh, green, you're going to cause us problems. You're going to go try to overthrow our government. You're going to try to instill, terror and fear. Go, green, go." Also, the military uniform also had green, so the American uniform was green. So green, we don't like it. Go, green, go. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that video. Copacabana, awesome place to live here. I actually took the idea from a friend of mine who lived in Sao Paulo for 10 months and wanted to live in Rio de Janeiro for a little bit. I took his idea, made it my own. Awesome experience. Definitely recommend it. Come on over, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.